In the past, it was a staple of kidnappings for the hostage to hold up a newspaper to prove that they were still alive. The problem with me is that I started reading the newspapers I was holding up, although I'm still, as you can judge by our social media overlords, in captivity. Nevertheless, I'll try my best to get what news I can out to you given the constraints. First up, stories on the domestic news front that I'm tracking. Yes, I'm still sick and using it as an excuse to be indecently attired, which is highly unethical. But that brings us to your first bit of intelligence in your daily briefing. According to Gallup, the ethics ratings of nearly all professions are down in the U.S. They do an annual review of various sectors of the economy and ask people how they think morality informs the actions of these industries. In the latest survey done in 2023, they discovered that, for some unknown reason, people found the healthcare industry to be less honest. Nurses, for instance, dropped 7 percentage points. Doctors dropped 9 points. Pharmacists also dropped 9. Gee, I wonder if there's a theme here. I wonder what could have happened to have shaken the public's trust in their competence, morality, and integrity. Another group also saw their reputation with the public erode. Government. For instance, members of the House of Representatives and the Senate collapsed to 6% and 8% respectively. Is there any explanation for this reputational collapse?
Hey, want to take a guess on the most corrupt sport in the country? NFL or NBA? I'll give you a few clues. 36 have been found guilty of spousal abuse. 7 are guilty of fraud. 19 of them have written bad checks. And 71 of them can't qualify for a credit card because of their own bad credit. 3 are guilty of assault. 14 drug-related charges. 8 have been convicted of shoplifting. 21 are currently involved in lawsuits. And 84 have been involved in a drunk driving incident. So the answer? Neither. These statistics are represented by the 435 members of the United States Congress. If you're waiting on someone in Washington to fix the mess in our country, stop and go read your Bible because we need Jesus.
Of course, that's the House of Representatives she's speaking about. Senate is even worse. Just this week, as I reported on yesterday, they refused to prosecute a staffer who shot a gay porn video in the Senate chamber. The fact that they didn't even try to maintain decorum implies that the Senate is a hollowed-out shell of what it used to be. Like when the Emperor Caligula asserted the irrelevancy of the Roman Senate after their society had turned into a dictatorship and threatened to appoint a horse to the assembly. It was his way of saying that they were irrelevant, his way of saying a monkey could do your fake job. Regarding our decadent Senate, it's a porn shooting location filled with senators like James Lankford, who said that 13-year-olds can consent to sex. Republicans couldn't even impeach Alejandro Mayorkas after the debacle of the border because of turncoat rhino Republicans like Lankford, which is why Laura Loomer asked, "Gee, I wonder what the Democrats have on Senator Lankford." A picture starts to emerge regarding the collapse of public confidence related to people of such proven low ethical character. The irony is that our Senate used to be the most respected branch of government. John Stuart Mill, in Considerations on Representative Government, praised the U.S. Senate, and he praised the way that it was selected. Senators were selected in a two-step method. They weren't popularly elected. They were appointed, right? So the people would vote for their state legislator, and then their state legislature would appoint what they thought was a man of high ethical character to the Senate. And they wanted this to be above party politics, kind of like the Supreme Court. You don't elect Supreme Court justices. It's not a popularity contest. It's supposed to be a competence, assessment. And so this kind of changed over time. Originally, like John F. Kennedy in Profiles in Courage, he described how in the earliest iteration of America, the Senate was filled with philosophers and constitutional scholars. And he said in the second remaking, they ceased being the senator from Georgia or the senator from Kentucky or the senator of Virginia, and they instead became the senator for big oil, the senator for the railroad trust, the senator for the banking industry. And he describes how they, go into decline. it's really interesting. I was reading a book recently, and this is a digression, but Dream Worlds of Race is the name of the book, and it talks about how the British Empire was kind of plotting to reabsorb what they called the settler colonies, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, and the United States. And these plans had been kind of bandied about since the 1870s. Like, how could they get the United States back into the British fold? And they decided, oh, we could do it through treaties, right? And eventually they do it through NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and they kind of stitch the United States back into England, and now they're tied at the hip permanently. If England goes to war, the United States is kind of handcuffed to England. And this wasn't originally the case. Originally, when they tried to do this, it was blocked by our Senate, back when our Senate was filled with competent men. It was Henry Cabot Lodge who blocked their initial attempt to do this when they created the League of Nations, right? The League of Nations was a British plan, basically, to, reincorporate the United States into the British grid, and it was blocked by the U.S. Senate. And in the book, Dream Worlds of Race, he also talks about how when they did the first international court, and that was also blocked by the U.S. Senate. And so very on, I mean, there was like three or four iterations of this where they tried to scheme, and it was blocked by the Senate. America's sovereignty was saved by our Senate originally. And then they decided, hey, we've got to get rid of the Senate. We have to neutralize it. And their plan to do this was to change the way that senators were installed. And instead of the two-step process that placed them above party politics and got the best men into the Senate, they said, hey, well, why don't we change, the Constitution? Let's create the 17th Amendment. Let's make them popularly elected. Now, what this does is it changes them from being sent from the states, and now they need money to run campaigns, right? So now they've got to go to the rich oligarchs and say, please give me campaign money so that I can run, because now I have to be popularly elected. And now it makes them beholden to vested interests rather than beholden to their states. And it totally corrupts the place, totally neutralizes the place. And almost immediately, the United States collapses. We give in, we sign NATO, we get stitched into, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. We lose our sovereignty effectively because they got rid of the Senate. So these things have grave international consequences, and that leads us into our international news. The Sun has an article entitled Crypto King. Real identity of Bitcoin founder Satoshi Nakamoto could finally be revealed in court and may unlock a £36 billion fortune. A UK court will now decide if Craig Wright, 54, is the mysterious, anonymous crypto king who disappeared from the internet over a decade ago. Wright, an Australian computer scientist who lives in London, has been arguing since 2016 that he is the real Nakamoto, a claim largely dismissed by the cryptocurrency world. Whoever did invent Bitcoin is sitting on an enormous stash of cryptocurrency now worth £36 billion, or $46 billion, which would make them one of the world's richest people. Bitcoin was the first decentralized currency, which uses digital coins created or minted using complex calculations carried out by computers. For years now, Wright has unsuccessfully claimed to be the legendary Nakamoto and has dragged various naysayers through the courts in an attempt to be legally recognized as Bitcoin's creator. It'll be interesting to see if Wright is actually Satoshi Nakamoto, which is very unlikely when you look at the evidence and you look at the DARPA documents. But it's curious that this is coming up now as the world is trying to be channeled toward central bank digital currency. So we'll see where this leads. But right now, we're leading toward news of the weird. An Argentine woman reports a goblin sighting. A woman in Argentina has gone viral on social media in the country after she posted a video wherein she claims to have spotted a goblin while she was out on a walk. The very weird account reportedly came to light earlier this month when Vicky Nauta took to TikTok to share a truly fantastic experience that she had the previous day in the city of Bariloche. According to her, she was strolling down a street while watching videos on her phone when she suddenly noticed someone beside her. The mysterious individual, Nauta said, was rather diminutive and sported white hair and a beard to match. Certain that what she saw was a goblin, or a duende as it is known in Latin America, Nauta insisted that she was telling the truth about her sighting and mused that she had previously not believed in such entities. But now she is certain that they're real. The awestruck witness went on to recall how in the moment she was not scared of the small stranger, and instead simply told herself that he was being playful by appearing before her. Naota's video spread like wildfire on social media in Argentina, with some viewers dismissing Naota's account as merely a tall tale on her part, while others responded that they had also seen such entities in the area. Yeah, who knows what it is about Argentina, but there's been persistent, elf sightings, like this clip demonstrates. Who knows what mystical secrets nature holds in store, or what we'll finally learn when we're on the other side. A segue that leads us naturally to our obituary segment. Former Chilean President Sebastián Piñera dies in a helicopter crash. He was 74. Sebastián Piñera, the two-time former president of Chile who faced social upheaval followed by a pandemic in his second term, died Tuesday in a helicopter crash. He was 74. Chile Interior Minister Carolina Toa confirmed the death of the former president. No further details were immediately released about the cause of the accident. Serving as president from 2010 to 2014 and again from 2018 to 2022, Piñera led the South American nation during moments of crisis, including the aftermath of an 8.8 magnitude earthquake and tsunami. What is it with the popularity of death by helicopter in Chile? I guess he who lives by death by helicopter dies by death by helicopter. At any rate, thanks for watching the show, or as I like to call it, that suspicious gap in my resume. See you next time.
Consider subscribing to my new podcast, Classic Paranormal. It's a clearinghouse for lost real-life accounts of true ghost stories. It's found on Apple Podcasts. Go there now if you're interested in enigmatic tales, chilling true accounts, chronicles from cases of the past that time has forgotten, but that the modern person who likes relaxing by a campfire swapping ghost stories might appreciate. As I said, the new podcast I'm launching is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and there's a link in the description below on this video.